How to water your plants correctly? This is a question many of us are asking. Many of us are overwatering or maybe underwatering, and maybe many of us kill plants, and we want to know how to correctly water our plants. In today's video, I'd like to discuss these points. I'd like to address what type of pots you should use, what type of tools are there to use and to help you watering your plants. I'd like also to discuss what to do if you underwater the plant or you overwater the plant. I'll show you some plants that I helped revive after I underwatered them, and some that died because I overwatered them. It's very easy to actually overwater a plant. It's more easier than let it dry completely. And when we see it that the plant is dying from overwatering, usually it's too late. So watering a plant depends a lot on what environment that plant grows in, and what type of soil, what type of pots. Is it humid or not? What time of the year is it? So for example, right now when I'm shooting this video, it's winter here, and I noticed that because we have our heater on more often than during the warmer times of the year, I noticed that my plants are in need of more water, and you can tell that by their leaves, you can tell that by their soil. So we know that underwater can lead to dry plants and they will die, and overwatering can lead to die to wet plants and they will die as well. So let's talk about underwatering. What are the signs of a plant that it's underwatered? Well, an underwatered plant usually will show yellow or brown leaves. The leaves will curl and drop, and then it can be also crispy. Um, the plant can look also wilted, and to help a plant, all you need to do is actually take it and give a good amount of water until the water is going through the drainage holes, and then let it in the water, like in a bowl of water, for about, I don't know, 1 2 hours. And after that, you'll take it out and let it drain all the excess of water. The reason you put it in a water bowl is because you want your plant to rehydrate, and it's going to take the amount of water it needs to help the plant revive itself. And the reason you are putting it after that to drain is because too much water is going to bring to root rot, and we don't want either of those. Um, in overwatering plants, we can see a lot of signs, and unfortunately, it can be too late until we know we overwatered our plants. If you saw my today's short, you will see that um, last week actually I shot a video, and my plants were looking so good and healthy, and somehow I overwatered. I didn't check the soil, and I overwatered my plant, and it died of root rot. So in today's short, I was showing how my plant died because of overwatering. You can check that out if you'd like to. I will link it also. So when the plant is overwatered, as I said, it's too late sometimes to see it. And you cannot save that plant when it's too late. But usually you will see that the plant is getting yellow, and you'll see that it's distressed. You'll see that it doesn't look like before. You'll see stunt growth and wilting as well. And if you notice, in both cases, when the plant is underwatered and overwatered, we notice that the plant is either wilting or having yellow leaves. So you can tell the difference by checking the soil. So if your plant has yellow leaves and you check your soil and it's wet or moist, you can know that your plant is doing that because it's too much water. If you know, see yellow leaves and you check the soil is too dry, that means it doesn't have enough water. So how do you save the plant if it's overwatered? Well, that the survival chances are very low, but it can be done. So to do that, you will have to maybe let it drain for a while, or you can change the soil, like completely change the soil, cut everything that's rotten, clean the plant. And you need just to remember that repotting your plant when it's in stress already, it's an additional stress. So that's a good try, eh, but be prepared to lose that plant. I want to show you right now the pots that I like when I water my plants. I like the pots that actually have holes in a saucer, because when I water my plant, I can take the saucer off and let the excess water drain. And then if I put the saucer and it still gets water here, I easily can just discard it. I don't like pots that are not drainable, that don't have holes. You can see that, as I said, when the plant is in stress and doesn't have enough water or too much water, you see stunt growth. So you see, this plant is not happy in this pot. It looks pretty, the pot looks pretty, but it's not happy because you can see that the first leaves were very big, huge, beautiful, and the new growth is super small, very tiny growth. So this plant needs to be repotted. Also, the pots are important, the material it's made of. Oh, I don't have it here, but if you use simple terracotta pots like this one, and you don't have a removable pot inside with drainage holes, then you want to water your plant more often because it tends to dry faster. Um, I have here two plants that I underwatered. They were completely dry, you can see, and I repotted them. I give them water, I give them different lights, and both of them have right now additional growth. So you can try to save your plants from if you underwatered them. I have here the soil. I want to show you soil. So this one is a chunky soil, and that means that the water is going to drain faster. So you want to keep an eye on that because you would like to make sure your plant gets enough water. This one is not this chunky. You can see it's more dense. So for this one, you want to make sure that you have a removable pot. I can take it out. So you can drain all the water. I just watered this plant. So um, I hope you can see, but inside there is excess of water. You always want to throw that water because if you keep it in your pot here, it's growing germs and it's very bad for your plant. It actually makes it worse for it. So I showed you already the planters I like. I like the ones with holes in the saucer. And I want to show you the planters I don't like. And these are self-watering planters. I completely don't like them. As you can see, this is my lily, and it was big and nice. And then I planted this plant in this pot that has an insert that looks more like I don't know, a mash inside, like um, and it keeps the water at the bottom, so the plant can kind of um, suck the water from the bottom. But I never can get rid of that plant of that water. I mean, for real, for me to do that, I have to remove the whole plant and then get rid of the water. And you can see, let me show it again. You can see on the top that the plant needs to be watered right now. But because of the water at the bottom, I have to repot it. I'm not sure I can actually do anything to it right now, so I'm planning to repot it and help it in the future. When you're watering your plant, you want to make sure you're using room temperature water, and also you want to maybe invest in a pitcher. It's a lot more easier to water it and manage it because you want to water your plant everywhere. You don't want to water it just in one space. You want to help your plant to get nutrients from the whole amount of the soil. Another thing I really like is my moisture meter. So what you do, you insert it in your plant and it will show you, okay, here, it shows us too moist. That's because I just watered it. But if you have a dry plant, this one is to be watered. If you have a dry plant, you will put it in and it shows you it's dry. So this is a good tool to help you water your plants. Yeah. So when watering, oh, yes, I almost forgot. I said at the beginning that I'm going to talk about plants that grow just in water and the plants that just grow in water and stones. I can see lots of YouTube shorts on that, and I was curious about it. So I did some research, and I want to tell you that from what I found, it's not very a good idea to grow a plant just in water or water and stones because plants need nutrients, plants need minerals and other organic things that we can find in the soil. So it's very important for your plant to get soil. So maybe if you just try to um, grow roots, or maybe just for a while you can keep it in the water and stones, but you will need soil in the end. Eventually you have to give it soil. So that is pretty much for it. So I'm happy that we covered it, and remember that although indoor plants are very, very trendy right now and they're pretty to look at, it needs more than just being thrown in a corner and taking pictures. You need to take care of it. And I'm glad we did pay attention to watering. And when you're watering, please make sure the top um, um, 2 inches of your soil is actually dry, and then you want to water. If it's moist, you want to wait. You don't want to kill your plant by overwatering it. Please subscribe if you want more content on plant care, and thank you for watching.